today? Today's the day that Goku and another friend nowhere. Goku mastered Ultra Instinct. I kind of want to talk about today's episode. Not only today's episode of Dragon Ball Super, but also some of the episodes that I finally caught up with. So, give y'all some context. Stopped going for the break around December, and just over last night, between last night and today, I finally caught up. So this whole video is going to be talking about episodes 122, 129, the fave episode. So if you haven't seen any of those episodes, don't want to get spoiled or anything, care about spoilers or anything like that, you might want to kind of leave the video. But I don't plan on really going. I don't plan on really going over like play by play every single thing that happened every episode because these are a lot of episodes to kind of cover in one video. I do just kind of give my basically everything that kind of went on. And for those of you guys who don't know, because I there might be some people that don't know, but you know, Dragon Ball Super is it's ending. Well, it's not necessarily ending, but it's going on hiatus. Some people say it's ending, and then some people. I was reading some reports that was saying it was going on hiatus for a while. So I believe episode 130 is going to be the last episode, either episode 130 or 131. I can't remember which one is supposed to be the last episode, but yeah, we're closing. We're getting close to either the end of Dragon Ball Super and maybe the start of another series, or just the series is just going to be going on break for a while. Which I think honestly, and I've said this before, I think that Dragon Ball Super going on break or ending where it is, I think that's probably that this series could possibly do, uh, especially if the series is just going on hiatus, because this series is popular, like it or not. If you hate Dragon Ball Super or if you like it or whatever, it wouldn't make any sense for them to we stop this. So if they go on hiatus and they take all that time while they're on hiatus to craft better stories and get these characters down right and stuff like that. The hiatus will only be good for the series. But anyway, that's another topic. That's another topic. So I want to talk about first of all episode. Starting from episode 122. I think 122, and I have my phone right here. So if you see me looking down, because I decided to kind of take some notes, so I won't. So I'll be able to kind of cover everything. So I kind of took some notes on my phone. So if you see me looking down, I'm just looking at my notes. Just looking at my notes. So first of all, episode 122, it had some of the best action in this entire arc. Period. I'm one of those people that have you seen any of my other videos concerning this tournament of power arc? I haven't been too impressed about this arc. I kind of feel there are still some things that do kind of concern me, even after catching up. There's still some things that do kind of concern me about this arc, and there are some things that I still believe that this arc did poorly, uh, such as introducing some of the new characters. I thought that they kind of introduced characters poorly. They rushed the development of a lot of characters like Kale, Khalifa, a lot of things that they could have done better. But I will say that it's starting like I was very surprised after watching all of these episodes that the admit it. I'll be the first one to admit it, and I'm always the guy who's always talking about Dragon Ball Super. But I'll be the first one to admit, the quality has gone up because, uh, you know, from the point that I was watching, like episode 121, once I stopped in December, there weren't really opinion, there weren't really a lot of standout episodes from this arc. Some of my favorite episodes from this arc, such as Master Roshi, the episode with Master Roshi, the episode with the sniper, a lot of the episodes that some people actually thought were bad episodes, I thought were some of the best material of this series. And some of the episodes that people acted like these were the best fights. I mean, these were like the best episodes of this series so far, and even of this arc. I thought were some of the worst episodes, or even just for the okay Jiren or the fight with Kale, Khalifa, and Kefla. But I will say, episode 122 had some of the best. Like I said, it had some of the best action in this entire arc. Episode 123. So here's the thing. Because I say that I think it was the episode. I think episode 106 was the episode with the sniper or whatever. A lot of people didn't like that episode, but something I do like that they're doing is that they, and I've said this before, I like that they're giving all these other characters that would normally be background characters like Tien and Gohan and Android 17. Everybody. You know, they're giving them something to do, even if the power scaling doesn't really make any sense. Like Android 17, later on, Android 17 is kind of fighting against Jiren and kind of like holding him off a little bit. You know, the power scaling is a little out of whack. Well, it's not even a little out of whack. It is, but that's a topic. But I will say I like the use of strategy throughout a lot of these fights. Like, so in episode 123, so in episode 123, Gohan and 17 had to use a strategy against Toppo, the way that they were fighting against Toppo. And Goku in the episode, just out of nowhere, uses his energy, uses his key energy as landmines, which I thought was pretty clever. But then it's like, since when can Goku really do this? Like, he's just pulling attacks out of nowhere now. The Destructus, I think he called it Hexa Destructo Disc or something like that. But he did some move that he saw Krillin do before the Tournament of Power. But yeah, that whole thing with the landmines, like I said, I like a lot of the stuff that they did within this episode. A lot of the ways that, like, the thing that I really like about a lot of the episodes that I just watched was just the fact that because a lot of these characters are, and I'll give Akira Toriyama points for this, because a lot of the characters from Universe 7 are kind of to the characters from Universe 11. Like we see at one point Frieza, Frieza go up against someone like and please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing his name, Daispo, the guy that's like really super quick and he looks like Beerus. He goes up against that guy. So he goes up, so it was like Frieza and Gohan, or even Android 17 and what's his face, Android 17 and Android 17 and Frieza. Like, we have these characters that are working together that don't usually work together. Don't normally think that they would like kind of interact together, which is pretty cool. But then you put situation where they have to come up with a strategy to defeat an enemy that is otherwise way too strong for them to handle. And I do like that they kind of put these characters in those situations. Also in episode 123, Vegeta, and I like a lot of the stuff that they're doing with Vegeta. So Vegeta, he's fighting to save the Saiyans and everything. And, he's fighting to save the Saiyans, and not only, he's fighting to save the Saiyans over sick. I thought that was a nice motivation for him to kind of break his shell and kind of go past his limit to go into his limit break form. And the only thing I will say about his limit break form is that crap looks ugly. That crap just looks retarded. Like maybe it's just the way that they kind of, it's the way, it might be the way that they drew Vegeta in like certain scenes, but his eyes are like major big like this. Like his eyes are really, really freaking big. And I did not like that. I thought it was kind of weird. I was just thinking, why don't I just do it like Ultra Instinct and just make his eyes kind of silver? Like his eyes are just like big. Like once he goes to like the limit break form, it was kind of retarded. But I do like that they gave him some type of mode for him to reach that next level, because throughout the fight, this is just like, yo, I'm gonna beat you my own way. Screw that Ultra Instinct. Kakarot can have Ultra Instinct. I'm gonna take you on my own way, because Vegeta is a lot about pride. Like he like his character takes pride in being the Super Saiyan, obviously, and so I feel like they really did the character right in these episodes, especially this episode. Besides one scene in episode 123, there was this minor scene where like Goku is like flipping throughout the air, which I thought the animation looked a little rough. It looked a little weird. But other than that, I thought the animation and everything is good. I don't think the animation is too bad on a lot of these episodes. On a lot of these episodes that I'm watching now, come away from the first 2 or 3 seasons of this show. So I feel like the animation is pretty good. On to episode. I'm just going to order. I'm going to try to go in order. Frieza and Gohan fighting Daispo, and he's having, so basically, one of the highlights for me is Frieza and Gohan fighting Daispo, having to limit his movements while he was in his super maximum light speed mode. And what I like what Frieza did, see, this goes back to what I said earlier, getting into situations where someone like Frieza and Gohan have to work together, and you would never expect it. And then also the fact that Frieza and Gohan have to come up with this strategy to defeat Daispo, who is Daispo is way stronger than both alone. They have to work together, which I think is pretty cool. But what they do is Frieza uses his energy beams to create like a energy beam cage, and then Gohan is fighting him head to head. He's fighting Daispo head to head because throughout the episode they're having trouble, keeping up with Daispo because he's so quick, and they know that they basically had to corner him in a way. They had to kind of limit. They basically had to limit his movement because otherwise they weren't going to be able to defeat him. And ultimately, let's see. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. Yeah, so basically Gohan had to go head to head with Daispo after Frieza created a energy cage, which I think that was kind of cool. I mean, they're doing a lot of creative stuff with a lot of these characters' abilities and stuff. All right, my bad. Somebody came to my door. I had to see what that was. I had to see what that was for a second, so my bad. Okay, so hopefully there won't be any more interruptions. If there is, I apologize. Okay, so Frieza and Gohan working together against Daispo. I really like that energy beam cage. Even though they're kind of pulling a lot of techniques out of nowhere, a lot of different stuff out of nowhere, I do like how creative Akira Toriyama's being with these characters. I will say that I'm gonna give him points. Once again, I'm gonna give him points. Uh, Ultimately, Gohan had to basically hold Dice Bow in place, and then Frieza blast both Gohan and Dice Bow, basically pushing the Dice Bow and Gohan out the ring. And something that I did kind of notice that they kind of got a little too redundant, I guess you can say, is just the fact that a lot of these characters had to kind of sacrifice themselves. But it's a trope. It's a trope that you kind of see in a lot of stuff like this, where like characters have to, excuse me, characters have to basically sacrifice themselves in order for others to advance or others to live or whatever. But I feel like this show it kind of did it. It did it well, and in this case, I feel like it did it well. Episode 125 is where Frieza and 17 struggle against Toppo. And I believe, is this the episode? Oh, yeah. Okay, so this episode, I'll admit that this surprised me. This really surprised me. Toppo beating the crap out of Frieza. Now, y'all know, I haven't really been keen on a lot of the Dragon Ball Super characters that they have introduced. I've always talked about Jiren and the rest of the Pride Troopers, all these other characters being very under just paper thin. Like, we don't really know too much about them. They didn't really build a lot of their backstory and all that other stuff. And I haven't really gotten into a lot of my gripes with this arc itself. But I'm gonna leave that for maybe another video or whatever. Maybe I'll talk about it later. Who knows? But one thing I will say, this episode caught me off guard. Toppo. So apparently, it's revealed that Toppo is supposed to be a candidate for what do you call it? A God of Destruction. He's basically a candidate for God of Destruction for Universe 11, and that brings up a lot of questions. Like, because I was always under the assumption that maybe these deities were kind of born the way they are, like they were just born gods or whatever. It's like the fact that you can be elected, you can kind of be elected to be a god. That does raise a lot of questions. And I was just always under the assumption that they were always that all of the gods that we're looking at are destroyer gods. I mean, I'll admit I missed a few episodes before this arc really got rolling. So maybe they explained this already. But the fact that Toppo is basically another god of destruction, I did feel like that kind of came out of nowhere, but who cares at this point? Because he beat the crap out of Frieza, and that whole scene was great. And the way that he just picked Frieza up by his head, and it looked like he's about to crush his head, man. That was perfect. That was perfect. I will give him points for that. But like I said, a lot of questions this brings up. If you can just be like you can be elected to become a god, basically. Something else I will say, and I guess I'll leave that point later. I'll leave that point for later. I'm not gonna say it yet, because there is something that happens later on, in like the next 2 episodes or whatever. But I'll get to it. I'll get to it. So I think the biggest highlight of the episode really was Toppo beating the crap out of Frieza. Basically, Frieza and 17 were struggling all throughout episode 125. And then we have episode 126. I thought there were some good fights in this episode with 17 and Frieza. And they're still struggling against Toppo. And okay, so here's something that bothered me. So Vegeta, it gets to a point where, because in the episode prior, Vegeta and Goku are fighting against Jiren. They're taking him on at the same time. And then it gets to a point where Jiren and Toppo, they kind of cross paths, and then Toppo Toppo basically stops Vegeta, and then now Vegeta is fighting Toppo. And so Vegeta, in order to, what he does is he does the explosion. If you remember, and the show does a callback to this. He did the final explosion in Dragon Ball Z when he was about to, when he sacrificed himself to kind of try to destroy Majin Buu in Dragon Ball Z. So he does final explosion. If you know anything about final explosion, it's a self-destructing move. When Vegeta did final what's it called? Final explosion. When Vegeta did a final explosion in Dragon Ball Z, he died. Period. And I feel like the explanation for it is kind of wobbly. So he does the final explosion out, and they actually give a lot of good reasons as to why Vegeta would do this self-destructing move throughout the episode. I believe this is the episode. Is this the episode? With I just want to make sure before I say anything. Is this the? Hold on. Is this the episode? Okay, yeah. So throughout this episode, or throughout where Toppo, he's kind of thinking about and Vegeta is constantly thinking about both his family and then also the promise that he made to Kaba to save the Saiyans in Universe 6. And so he's constantly thinking about that. And then he's also thinking about his own pride, and the fact that, you know, Toppo is kind of like, and I'm hoping I'm using the right term here, but Toppo is kind of like a foil character to Vegeta, because Toppo basically gave up everything. He said everything else is pointless, everything else is useless. Forget all this justice, because throughout all of his time that we've seen him up until this point, he's just been about justice this and justice that, and, you know, doing the right thing and being righteous and all that other stuff. But now he said, okay, I'm throwing this out the window. The moment he started to use his god powers, he threw all that out the window. He said pretty much nothing else matters. I'm throwing all of that away. All that matters is that my universe survives, basically. And Vegeta, you know, he's a counterpoint to that. He's like, I'm not throwing away anything. I'm not throwing away my pride, my promises, everything like that. And so I do like the fact that these two characters that kind of have, I guess ideologies might be the wrong word, but just for the sake of this video, two different ideologies. I like the fact that these two are kind of clashing. And then I also, like I said, I like the fact that they made it a point to kind of show you that, you know, Vegeta isn't thinking about himself. He's not only thinking about himself, he's thinking about his family. He's thinking about the promise, like I said, the promise he made to Kaba and everything. But getting back to kind of my issue with the way that they used final explosion, the way that they did it in Dragon Ball Z, he exploded and he died. And well, Vegeta's a lot stronger since Dragon Ball Z, since he fought Majin Buu when he was Majin Vegeta. He got a lot stronger. Like, and I just thought that like, I get the explanation. Like, it kind of makes sense. I mean, he's a lot stronger now, but at the same time, it's a self-destructing move, So it feels like, and this is how I felt when I first watched it, you know, a few hours ago. I was just like, this is kind of a cop-out. I felt like at this particular point, I'm like, okay, I feel the same way about this episode that I felt about the Master Roshi episode. This episode could be so much better, and it could have so much, like, the fact that Vegeta did final explosion could have been way more impactful if he died, if Akira would have killed him off the same way that he probably should have killed off Master Roshi. But it kind of feels like a cop out, for lack of a better word. It kind of, for lack of a better term, it just feels like a cop out. I mean, he freaking should have died. I mean, he used final explosion, and that's what that move does. It's a self-destruct move. But yeah, he did all that to keep his promise to Kaba, like I said, and then to save his family. And I do like the fact that they're kind of showing that Vegeta has grown. and he's not only thinking about himself, which I think is pretty cool. Okay, so episode 127. So episode 127, and we're almost getting to today's episode, so bear with me. So episode 127. Here's the thing with episode 27, because by the end of the episode, I believe this is the episode that 17 sacrifices himself. I believe it is. Yep. Okay, so this was the episode that 17 sacrificed himself. And like I said earlier, throughout these episodes, I see a lot of sacrificing themselves for one another. A lot of Universe 7 is sacrificing themselves for each other so that someone else can continue and so that their universe can be saved and everything like that. I see a lot of that. And what I said about the episode prior, and let me make sure I'm not skipping an episode here. Okay, I'm not skipping an episode. So in episode 127, they do exactly what I wish they would have did with Vegeta in the last episode, which was actually commit. If you're going to have a character, and I issues that I had with what they did with Vegeta is just the fact that it's if you're gonna have a character do a grand gesture like that, commit to it. And they committed to it with this episode with Android 17. Android 17 basically self-destructing, and then he shielded go from Jiren. They committed to that. They said that he self-destructed, so Jiren didn't get anything like that. But I kind of wish they would. I kind of wish they would have did that with Vegeta, because with what Vegeta did, what Vegeta was doing, it was a selfless act. It was a selfless act, and it was kind of a similar thing to what 17 trying or did do, you know. So I kind of felt like it was a cop out with Akira Toriyama not killing Vegeta off. And keep in mind that like killing somebody in Dragon Ball Z kind of doesn't really mean anything. Like death doesn't really mean anything in Dragon Ball Z. I mean, let's be honest. They can always just wish anybody back with the Dragon Balls. So I don't know why they get so dramatic, because it's not like they're really. Well, I think there is a limit to how many times you can wish somebody back, but I'm pretty sure the Super Dragon Balls can probably wish anybody back. So yeah, they could have killed Vegeta off. That's kind of an issue that I had, but they did kill 17 off. He did sacrifice himself. But then also in this episode, because keep in mind, 17 kills himself to basically negate Jiren's attack. And something that I noticed, and the show just never, and it did this a few episodes where like Frieza would come in out of nowhere and do a sneak attack, and then he'll get knocked out by one of Universe 11 characters, and then you don't see him for like the next episode or two, and then he comes back. And like the show, even to this point, they haven't said that, and maybe I missed it. Please tell me if I'm wrong, but Frieza is still in, right? Like he didn't get knocked out. And the whole time when Jiren was doing his attack and 17 has shielded Goku and Vegeta, the whole time I'm like, is he going to shield Frieza also? Because I didn't see a shield on him. And I watched that scene twice. I didn't see any type of green shield over Frieza. So like, is Frieza dead, or like where's Frieza? We're not going to acknowledge that, because even if Goku loses to Jiren and they only have 4 minutes left, Frieza is still there. I think Frieza is still there. But anyway, I'm kind of getting sidetracked. So also in episode 127, we finally got Jiren's backstory. And y'all already know how I kind of feel about Jiren. I've always said that he is basically a brick wall, a power level brick wall that and break. Like he's a very generic, I'm gonna be honest, he's a very generic character that lacks any sort of personality. His character design is very generic and just like he's a bad character from the outside looking in. But now that I got this backstory, I kind of understand what Akira Toriyama was going for, I guess, with this character. I guess he's generic intentionally. I'm guessing I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and say that it's intentional. Jiren basically being a generic looking character and a character that is basically void. And okay, hold on 1 second. I gotta put my charger in. Basically, Jiren of any sort of personality might actually be intentional because if you and I looked at his backstory, I looked at it 3 times. I rewatched it, right? And so here is Jiren's backstory told by the destroyer god from Universal 11, Belmod. He's basically okay. So here's the thing: he's obsessed with, and I'm just reading off my notes here. He's obsessed with strength. Power is everything to him because he was unable to save his friends and his teacher from that guy that killed his parents. Belmod says there is no room for emotions, so maybe that's why he's just acting like emotionless like this. So perhaps this is probably an explanation for why he lacks for why he kind of lacks a personality. The best example I can kind of give is Saitama from One Punch Man, because this kind of feels like that situation. It feels like just based off his backstory, Jiren at one point maybe he did have some sort of personality, but then it's just like this evil guy, this bad guy killed his parents and then killed all his friends and stuff. And then he got stronger because they say that he had a teacher, so he got stronger. And maybe he got so strong and maybe he kind of cast aside his emotions and everything like that. Like I said, maybe it's a One Punch Man situation where it's like Saitama, where he got so strong, he got so powerful, and there's no one to challenge him. Basically, to the point where he's like a blank slate. He has zero personality. Maybe it's just like Saitama. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like I said, I want to give Akira Toriyama benefit of the doubt and just say that it is very intentional for Jiren to be a blank slate of a character. And like I said, I think the best example really is Saitama, because that's the only character from any anime that I can kind of feel like there's maybe kind of a parallel between these two characters. Because keep in mind that Jiren and the rest of like these universes, for the most part, they're not villains. They're more antagonists. They're antagonists, but they're not villains. And basically they're all doing this for their own reasons as far as like the Super Dragon Balls go. As far as they are universes. What I like about this story and what I like, this is exactly what I want. This is what that they use in this art. I feel like it's basically the tuning exams for Naruto. Like this arc is basically the tuning exams from Naruto part. Basically get introduced to all these different characters. They're characters. And that I feel like they kind of, I would believe that what they were doing wrong and kind of course corrected themselves at this point and said, you know what, let's go ahead and give Jiren a backstory, because we can kind of see that Jiren is a very generic character right now. We need to give him something. There has to be a reason why this guy is acting the way he's acting. And see, now it kind of makes more sense with this backstory. The fact that he's always and stuff and just looking away from people, because again, I'll read my notes again, just according to my notes that I was looking at. Because here's the thing, at one point, basically he's like, and let me scroll down. So basically, when 17 was still alive and everything, 17 because they were asking about their wish and stuff like that. We're talking about the wish that they want to make on the once they get the Super Dragon Balls. And I am still wondering, what to wish for, because he obviously doesn't want to undo the past because of something that he said to 17 makes me believe that he doesn't want to undo the past, despite the fact that he lost his teacher, he lost his friends, and he lost his parents to this evil guy. So basically, 17 says, you want to bury the past, and then Jiren is like, Scream. Okay, so he says this. So 17 says, you want to bury the past, and then Jiren says, Scrimp is absolute. Scrimp is absolute. Scrimp forgives all, even the past. Scrimp is absolute. Scrimp forgives all, and even the past. So that makes me believe that, okay, well, he doesn't want to undo the past. So what the heck does he want? And then also, just based off the backstory and everything that Jiren is saying, he's all about power. Power is everything to this dude, basically. And so it makes more sense now that when he's going up against a character that isn't on the same level as him, he turns away from them, crosses his arms, and just like, he just kind of just shake. He just like, I don't care. Sort of that kind of personality, if you get what I mean. Like, it makes more sense now, seeing the way that, like, when you look back on the way that Jiren acts, and now it kind of makes more sense. Once you get this backstory, it kind of makes more sense. I still kind of hate this character. Keep in mind, I still hate this character. I hate the character design and everything like that. But I'm getting a little bit more of what they were going for. And I feel like Saitama, like I said, I feel like Saitama from One Punch Man is a good analogy for this character, basically. And this is, like I said before, this is exactly what I wanted them to do with Kale and Khalifa. Give us some more time with these characters. I mean, you already screwed up their character development. You screwed up their physical training, their physical development. I mean, they got Super Saiyan out of nowhere. The least you can do is make these characters more like characters. I mean, you can make them 3-dimensional instead of 2-dimensional flat pieces of paper, like that's the least they could have done for Kale, Khalifa, and a lot of the other characters that they introduced. But I'll give them points for actually giving Jiren a backstory and for trying to kind of fill in the gaps. Okay, so we got about 2 more episodes to talk about. Okay, so episode 128. This episode starts off with Vegeta. Basically, Vegeta fighting against Jiren one-on-one because Goku at this point, Goku is still on the ground trying to recover, after Jiren does that blast, and then Android 17 sacrifices himself. And again, this episode is another strong episode, I felt like, where Vegeta, they actually show that Vegeta is fighting for his family, fighting for the Saiyans on the other universe, Universe 6. He's fighting for all of that. And they constantly showing you flashbacks. They were showing flashbacks of him and Trunks, Vegeta holding his daughter, and then him interacting with Trunks and even Bulma. Like, he's thinking about his family, and this is something that we don't normally see from Vegeta. We don't normally kind of see Vegeta kind of get all sentimental and stuff. So this is something that's something that I like that they added. And let's see. Okay, so basically he fights Jiren one-on-one. He ends up getting knocked out. Jiren ends up knocking Vegeta out, and Vegeta realizes he can't defeat Jiren, so he gives Goku energy. He gives Goku the last of his energy, and that is something that you know how Vegeta is. He doesn't want to help Goku out at all. There's been points throughout this very arc where he's just like, I'm not helping you, Kakarot. Matter of fact, when Goku was raising his hands for the Spirit Bomb, during that Jiren special, which was like episode 109 and 110, he's just like, I'm not helping you. I'm not helping you, Kakarot. Like, it's gotten to the point where Vegeta has, in a way, kind of swallowed his pride and said, you know what, Kakarot, just beat this guy. Just beat this guy so that I can keep my promise, so I can protect my family, so that we can protect the universe, basically. And this is something, this whole scene, the whole scene of him, of Vegeta throwing his energy out and giving it to Goku, and you see the tears coming down his eyes. It reminded me so much God, God, I was thinking about it earlier. It reminded me of the Planet Namek saga, where like Vegeta is basically crying because he's just like he wants Frieza to basically, he wants Goku to defeat Frieza. He's like, yo, do this, and Goku understood because he never saw Vegeta at that point on Planet Namek. He never saw Vegeta get like really sentimental and crying and very like shaken like that. So that kind of reminded me, that whole scene, all of that kind of reminded me of that part from like Dragon Ball Z. And so I thought this was pretty good. This was pretty good. And the rest of that episode was kind of basic for me, to be honest. Goku versus Jiren, and then Goku awakens his Ultra Instinct on his own. And like I said earlier, the one question that I have is just like, is Frieza knocked out? Is he dead? What happened to Frieza? We'll see him in maybe we'll see him next episode, because I believe, like I said, I think next episode is either the last episode or maybe episode after next. Who knows? But yeah. So getting into today's episode, finally getting into about kind of talking about the next episode also. So today's episode 129, right? We finally, and we kind of knew this was gonna happen because we had the pictures come out a week ago or a few weeks ago about the whole Ultra Instinct Mastered, and how Goku's hair is gonna turn white, and his hair turned white when he mastered Ultra Instinct and everything. A lot of people feel the same way I feel about it, and I still feel the same way I felt when I made that video. When I made the video a week ago, which is basically, yeah, this was kind of unnecessary as far as giving Goku another form. We didn't really need this. The form looks lazy. It's just Goku with white hair. Something I didn't expect was just the fact that it was still base hair Goku. And if we look at the image, if we actually look at the image that we saw last a few weeks ago that came out, if I'm actually going to put that on screen right now. If you give me a second, I'll put it on screen. Just give me a second. There was this image that came out a few weeks ago that basically was our first look at Ultra Instinct Mastered. So this is what I was expecting it to look like, was something like this. But what we got was like base hair Goku. Like, we got base hair Goku, but his hair was white, his eyes were white, and everything like that. So what this does make me think was that basically my first assumption about Ultra Instinct when it was first revealed was actually kind of right on the money, where like he can kind of combine Ultra Instinct with his other Super Saiyan forms. Because keep in mind, right now Goku just got his base hair, right? So that I guess you can call that like Ultra Instinct level 1 or something. Let's just refer to it as that, right? And then maybe later on during the fight, he'll go Super Saiyan, and then it's just like Ultra Instinct level 2 or Ultra Instinct Super Saiyan or whatever, Because like I said, if you go and look at my other video about the Ultra Instinct Mastered, I felt like when Ultra Instinct was first being revealed, that it would be something that you combine Ultra Instinct and then you combine Super Saiyan or combine Kaioken. You put stuff on top of it, something like that. And I feel like that's pretty much going to be how that goes. And if these really are the last few episodes, my biggest concern is that like the stakes there aren't really any real stakes. I mean, there of course there's stakes like the universe is being destroyed. There's obviously those stakes, but there aren't really any real stakes when you think about it because you already know Goku and Vegeta. Well, not Vegeta because Vegeta's out now, but you already know Goku's gonna win. Period. I mean, I know it's not really about the destination. It's more about the journey. I guess is probably the best way to put it. Not about the destination, more about the journey. But at the same time, you kind of already know Goku is going to win, especially with all of this, all of these new forms that he's, all these new forms and all these new things that he's doing. He's pulling out of nowhere. Of course, he's gonna win, but there really isn't any stakes because I feel like everybody knows what's gonna happen. Because I already know. I think everybody kind of guessed this already. Goku is going to here's what they're gonna do. The Super Dragon Balls, they're going to use the Super Dragon Balls to God, I don't know why I'm blanking. They're gonna use the Super Dragon Balls to basically restore all the universes back. Basically, not just Universe 6, but all the universes. That's what they're going to do. Now, some people have this crazy notion of Goku is going to be an idiot and just say, why don't we just fuse all of the universes together? That would, if they were to do something like that, that would basically break all the lore. That would break everything they kind of established. That would be really freaking stupid. That just sounds like some fanfic stuff. Like, nah, I would hope they wouldn't go that route. But they're basically going to recover all of these universes. I feel like a good twist would be Goku losing and Jiren kind of seeing the error of his ways and kind of saying, you know what, maybe I should use my wish on, reviving all of these universes. It would be kind of a cool twist if Goku lost and then Jiren decides to revive all the universes. But again, we don't know what Jiren's wish, what Jiren wants to really wish for. So we can't really leave it up to this character, especially at this point where we kind of know that this character is all about power. He doesn't trust anybody. It's all about power. If you are weak, then you're basically kind of nothing to him. And that goes back to what I said about like his personality and everything like that. But something I will say, because if we look at the preview for the next episode, and I'm kind of seeing a lot of the reactions. I've been kind of reading a lot of the reactions for this week's episode, and then reactions to the preview. Like if we look at this preview, a lot of people are thinking that Jiren has Ultra Instinct, and I don't think that Jiren has Ultra Instinct. I just think that might just be his aura. It would make sense that Jiren has Ultra Instinct because he is like, you gotta keep in mind these characters are fighting on the level of gods, basically. It would make sense if Jiren had Ultra Instinct. And here's another thing. We see in this preview that Jiren is all buff and everything, and I love one of the comments down here. If I scroll all the way down, somebody says, I get tired of Jiren with all of these. My full power. This is finally my full power. We still have more full power. Every 5 seconds, like that. Like, this is my final form. Oh, this is my final form. It does come out of nowhere a little bit. Because that is something that I'm not predict. This is or predicted that already. Because they're fighting at the they said about Jiren before in like an earlier episode about him being kind of odd or something like that. So TV is also mastered. If Jiren is also mastered, and then like I love this comment down here. It's so true. It's Goku versus Frieza on Planet Namek all over again. And it really is. There is no comment that is more true for Goku versus Frieza on Planet Namek. I mean, when you look at how these last few episodes have been structured and how this whole thing has been structured, at the end of every episode, it's just like there's only 5 minutes left. There's only 9 minutes left. There's only 4 minutes left until the end of the Tournament of Power. And it's just like, how is 4 minutes equal like 10 episodes? Like, yeah, it is Planet Namek all over again. It's also Planet Namek in the fact that I feel like this fight is kind of dragged on. And it's going to keep dragging on until like the final episode. So it is Planet Namek all over again. It really is. Let's see. And this guy over here, y'all can read this comment. He's basically saying, man, they're pulling all this stuff out their butt now, basically with all these new forms, Ultra Instinct, all this other crap. Yeah, and I agree with all that. I agree with all of it. I agree with all of it. See, it says so Goku gets another move out of nowhere, and I'm just reading this comment down here. So Goku gets another move out of nowhere to match Jiren, but then Jiren's still able to increase his power, and that's the issue. That's like one of the big issues that I guess they still haven't really solved with this. Is that like once you keep adding forms, and then you have another character that's like way powerful than like Goku and Vegeta, they got to get another form, and then this person has to power up, and then he has to power up, and then he has to get stronger, then he has to get stronger. It goes on forever. That's why like I thought that Ultra Instinct wasn't going to be another form. It was just gonna be like Sage mode. I've said this before, but I feel like Ultra Instinct should have been like Sage mode. It's something that you put on top of Super Saiyan and all these other modes, and it might still be like that, but I feel like you changing Goku's hair and making a big event out of him mastering Ultra Instinct, I think that was the wrong move. I mean, honestly, that's just how I feel about it. But overall, I gotta say, and I didn't think I was going to be saying this after watching all these episodes. These episodes are good. I mean, I had some issues with some of these episodes. Some of them aren't perfect, but I mean, they're good. They're good episodes. But it's sad that it took us this long to get to these good episodes because, in my opinion, this arc has been kind of disappointing. With a lot of the arcs, honestly, in Dragon Ball Super, a lot of the stuff that didn't come from like the movies, like Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, the arcs that are totally new to the series have been kind of disappointing, in my opinion. I felt like the show finally is like is in high gear now. You know, it's in top gear now, and it's sad that it took the last few episodes of this show, or at least until it gets into, or at least until it goes into hiatus or goes on break or whatever. But it's sad that it took this long to kind of get this good. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about all these Dragon Ball Super episodes, especially today's episode and everything like that. Let me know what you guys think. I apologize for the long video, this bad interruptions and the interruptions and stuff and the bad lighting and everything. I kind of want to do this kind of spare the moment and everything like that. But let me know what you guys think about Dragon Ball Super episode 129. What do you think what's going to happen in the future? Like I said, I think Jiren does have Ultra Instinct. I think that Goku is going to revive all the universes by the end of it. And I feel like there's really isn't any stakes to it when you can kind of predict the solution well, not solution, but resolution to all of this. I feel like they could have done something different with this arc. I really do. But let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. This has been Amigo Shotty. I'm out of here. Peace.